Yes.
Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, Neosho County. Apex appreciates the opportunity to come and speak this evening on behalf of not only Apex but the Neosho Ridge Wind Project. I would love to stand up here and have memorized everything that we would like to say, but given that there is a substantial amount of information to give on the project as updates, but also we wanted to take the opportunity with the gracious 30 minutes to clear up as many misconceptions and misinformation as possible. So we do appreciate that time. And my public speaking teacher would kill me right now for the fact that I have to read it off of a piece of paper, but please forgive me. We share your eagerness to get this done, and we hope that the information we provide to you will help you advance the decision-making process. In all of the counties where we work, we sincerely strive to represent and be responsive to the needs of the community. As we have been working to hone in the design of the Neosho project, we have been listening to the feedback from the community throughout these last 2 years. Based on what we have heard, and in the interest of bringing this issue to resolution and in a timely fashion, we have made amendments to the agreements that we have been seeking to work with you on. We hope that these meaningful changes demonstrate our commitment to designing a project that addresses the community's desires. As you know, we have increased the setback from non-participating property lines from 110% of a turbine height to 1,000 feet. There is some confusion sometimes, so I'll repeat that. From non-participating property lines, we raised it to 1,000 feet. We have now also included the addition of a setback from non-participating homes. It was originally 1,425 feet. We have now increased that to 1,640 feet. We have also increased the contribution agreement amount to $2,000 per megawatt. This totals over $600,000 a year to the community. We wanted to ensure that the community gets a larger share of the economic benefit of this project. We hope these changes demonstrate our commitment to making sure this project serves everyone in the community, and we hope this gives you what you need to be confident in approving these agreements before you. While we are up here, we wanted to correct a few important misunderstandings we have heard on the street and read in the paper. We are in receipt of a document from the Neosho County Assessor that indicates concerns that the impact on wind on property values. While it is common to have concerns about this issue, the evidence shows that property values in Kansas counties that have wind projects have actually increased or remained steady after wind farms have been built. We have collected data from 37 counties across Kansas, and as you can see, and I brought this information with me that we will provide to the commissioners and to the clerk. You can see from this graph that there is no significant property value drop in any of these 37 counties. We have also provided the chart in the back containing all the data so that you can see that that you can be assured it's accurate, and this information is taken from the Kansas Department of Revenue. Second point, it is true that when we first proposed this project, we estimated that it would have up to 130 wind turbines. It is also true that as we continue to develop the project, the number of anticipated wind turbines has now increased to 139. This change is being characterized by some as a lie, which implies an intent to deceive. That was simply not true here. This number change is due to the natural evolution of project plans as we progress through the development process. And we have sought to be very transparent about this change and all the changes like it as our work has progressed. The good news for Neosho County in this change is that a higher turbine count translates to greater tax revenue greater tax revenue to local taxing jurisdictions and an increased opportunity for the local farmers who benefit from these turbines. We welcome any questions on this matter. Thirdly, we read in the paper that an opponent of this project has claimed the majority of Neosho County residents oppose this project. The evidence we have does not support this statement. Not only did the random phone survey we conducted in September show 70% support for this project in the county, but we have over 100 landowners living in the area who continue to advocate for this project. We would encourage you not to base your judgment of this support of the project on the number of people you see attending Friday meetings alone, because it is no secret that these meetings have become rather unpleasant for supporters of the project to attend. We have heard from several people in the surrounding areas. This includes Chanute, St. Paul, Thayer, and Erie, that there's a large amount of support for the project here, but none of these folks wish to subject themselves to the abuse from those who do not share their views, and they are choosing not to attend for this reason. We are working to encourage them to make sure their voices are heard, but in the meantime, we wish to relay their support to you through this forum. We encourage you to do what you can to hear from the community as a whole, to continue to take their calls for those who are contacting you in support, and to remember to look beyond those familiar faces who show up at these Friday meetings every week. In our conversations with the community, we have heard that your constituents believe that they did not elect you to extend government overreach on their private property rights, but they elected you to make the tough decisions necessary to ensure this local economy thrives. Given our limited time tonight, we have not attempted to address every question that we have heard here, but we are aware there are many in the community who still have questions on sound, health, property rights, and wildlife. While we have tried to answer many of these ourselves, we think it is important to give public access to independent experts on these issues. With this in mind, we are hosting a community forum on the 24th that will feature a panel of experts on sound, property values, economic impacts, wildlife, and safety. We invite you to join us that evening. It is open to the public, and we will be collecting questions before and during the event. There will be more information to come on the location and time in the Chanute Tribune and the Parsons Sun in the coming issues. We really hope to see all of you and everyone in the community there who has questions that wants factual-based answers from industry experts. In the meantime, I encourage all of you in attendance tonight to be careful about the rumors you hear on the street. We have heard about many misconceptions and misunderstandings related to this project, and we have been working hard to correct these items wherever we can. Quickly, here are a few facts that may help clarify a few of these. This phase of Neosho Ridge wind that is currently being considered is the only phase. There is no future phases planned. Neither we nor our industry, to our knowledge, are advocating to extend the tax break beyond the 10-year tax exemption. The legislature has determined that projects should pay property taxes after years 10, and we see this as a benefit to the community. We also believe communities should benefit in the first 10 years, which is why we have increased our contribution amount. The FAA maps that have been posted on wind opposition Facebook pages do not reflect a final turbine layout. In fact, we have not finalized a turbine layout for many reasons, but one of them which being the setbacks that we're currently discussing with the county. What those maps show is all of the test points that we have filed with the FAA to ensure we completely understand the local airspace. We file multiple test points to be thorough in our design process, to avoid any adverse effects on airspace, and most importantly, to promote safety of our pilots. Most of the points included on the FAA map at this time will never be turbine locations, and there are far more points on that map than there ever will be turbines. Number 4, there will not be security cameras on these turbines. Number 5, we cannot begin construction. We cannot begin construction until we have 3 agreements from the county in hand. There is no risk for us starting construction until we have those. Those 3 agreements are the voluntary contribution agreement, the decommissioning agreement, which has been requested, and the necessary road use agreement. Lastly, I would be remiss in failing to share an important project update with you. Many of you have been asking for a third-party analysis of how the Neosho project will benefit this community as a whole, the entire Neosho County. The economist we retained to calculate these impacts is near completion of the report, but he has provided me some high-level information to share with you today. His analysis shows that over the life of the project, the Neosho Ridge wind project will bring over $21 million in tax revenue to the county. This is inclusive of the contribution agreement. Over $25 million to the local school districts, primarily Erie School District 101. Almost $13 million in new funding to the Neosho County Community College. What the county, the school district, and the community college determined to do with this, whether it's money spent on new facilities for local students, purchasing a new ambulance, lowering residents' taxes, or something else that's needed here. But whatever you use for it, it is safe to say that it is going to make a significant impact on the local economy. While we wish we could have been able to provide you this analysis sooner, we will be getting you the full report by next week. I think you all agree that this is an economic opportunity that may not come again in Neosho County. With that, I look forward to answering any questions that you have, or passing the mic.
I have one question. I brought up last week for moratorium, and it's been put in the paper that we're going to zone, and I've had 50 or 60 calls about it, and I think I speak for my fellow commissioners. We're not for zoning. And actually, I knew that Commissioner Bedell and myself were on opposite sides of the fence on this thing, but I brought that up, and actually finally got you guys to come to the table to give us some darn numbers, which is what we've been wanting for 2 or 3 months or better, And I just wanted to say that I am not for zoning. I want that clearly stated, and I think that that was going to be a temporary moratorium. It wasn't going to be forever, and I think that was I don't like that, because I think it's stirring everybody up, and I had numerous calls about zoning, and I'm not for zoning at all. I just want to state that.
I understand your position, and I think that I'm not a lawyer, but when the words moratorium are to be voted upon, the intent is for zoning. And so that is why I believe So I just wanted to state that for the record, that is our understanding, and I'm not a lawyer, but it is our understanding that when a community, a council, votes yes on a moratorium, it is in the first step of going through a comprehensive zoning plan.
Well, that was not my intent. It was to put the brakes on this thing so we can kind of take a breath and see where we're at.
And to that regard, the brakes are on. We will not move forward with construction without a road use agreement. You do hold the brake pedal. And we understand that you wanted to get this done quickly. And we were working diligently to get you updated values, to answer all the questions, and get you timely information. And that is what we brought to you tonight.
Well, thank you for that. Any questions, Jennifer or David?
I do, thank you. Jade, on the residential value guide, is this information countywide or just in the township or areas where the turbines are located?
It is countywide.
Countywide.
Oh, sorry, I will also cover that. This is countywide, so it does include a larger view. But we have started a property values analysis of projects, of home values close to wind turbines in Kansas wide. And that will be available by the 24th Information Forum. So it'll focus in on those values that are in and around wind project areas. Also, the gentleman that's running the report will be present to speak to any questions that the community has.
Will that report be available to the commission and/or the public before the meeting?
I'm working to have it on the 23rd, which is one day before.
Okay. A member of the public gave some information to the county commission regarding potential property value loss due to the wind project. And we asked that information get to you all. Did you?
We received it and we were told we have 2 weeks to respond.
Okay.
That was, I believe, Monday of this week.
And are you planning on responding?
Absolutely. This will be a piece of it. This graph that you see is a part of our response, but we will have a thorough response written back to your county council as an official Apex response.
The 3 agreements that you mentioned, the revised agreements, have those been submitted to Mr. Jones?
They have.
Okay, because I don't, as a commissioner, I don't have those.
I sent them, he has them.
Okay. And I assume once the commission has an opportunity to review those documents that Apex would be willing to discuss them.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're not just submitting the document saying this is our final?
No, no.
Okay.
We're open to the dialogue.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all tonight. And we do ask that if you do have questions from now until the community forum, that you reach out to us. We have an office here at 219, sorry, right across the street. Thank you very much.
Are you sure you're not a lawyer?
I have a question.
You sure sound like one.
Do you, since you say my value is gonna stay the same or go up, are you willing to put a check to that? Are you willing to guarantee that?
Sir, no public comment.
No, I just want to know.
Well, you can talk to
You can
I'm
come to our
sorry.
office, you can come to our office.
Come to the office and talk to Jade or James
James.
or whoever. Okay? I don't mean to be rude, okay? Because if we let you talk, then somebody else is gonna talk, you know? So, anyway, the opposition. How you doing?
Thank you. Just as a matter of form, I don't like the term opposition.
Well, I'm sorry.
I like to consider myself a concerned
Citizen.
citizen of the county. I'm not opposed to certain things. My name is
I'm
Lori.
sorry, I don't, okay, yeah, just please state your name
Yeah.
for the record. Thank you.
Yep, happy. My name is Lori Whitworth. I am a resident of Neosho County. And I am going to be talking to the commissioners tonight on behalf of the concerned citizens of the county. And I also want to start off by saying thank you to you guys for being here tonight, rearranging whatever schedules were necessary to make this meeting possible on behalf of the citizens. I also want to thank everybody who is in attendance. I think this is an important issue for the county. And a lot of us have spent our time researching issues, expressing our opinions here tonight, as well as on numerous prior occasions at the regular Friday meetings and other special meetings that have been set. And yes, that sometimes even voicing arguments in front of the commission about the issue. I certainly haven't attended every meeting, but I have attended most of them, and I would openly challenge the idea that anyone as a concerned citizen has been threatening, and that anyone would feel unsafe or in any way, shape, or form in danger or threatened or harmed to show up at a meeting. Look at me, I'm a 5-foot tall girl, and I come to the meetings by myself every time, and I'm not afraid of anyone, either as part of the concerned citizen group or in opposition to that either. I challenge that characteristics of the people of this county acting like that in any way, shape, or form. The fact of the matter is, this is an important issue for Neosho County, and decisions made regarding this issue will impact the county for decades to come. And so it is important to look at the big picture, and as the gentleman who tried to speak earlier, he was present on Friday, and I felt also made a valid point as this is not a short-term answer, this is not a short-term solution. This is a long impact project, and it will have an impact on this county for decades to come. And we know that simply based on just looking at the terms of the lease agreements in length. We can talk about the obvious issues with industrial wind turbine projects as an alternative energy, such as those obvious things as the wind doesn't blow all the time, there's no ability to store wind energy. Further, even glancing at the wind speed map for the state of Kansas, when you look at that map, and the majority of these industrial wind turbine projects are on the west side of the state, that color on the wind speed map is sharply different than the color on the east side of that Kansas map with regard to wind speed and whether this is even a desirable location. Studies have shown that wind energy is not a long-term alternative energy solution for this country. Robert Bryce, a senior fellow from the Manhattan Institute, was quoted as saying, "The simple truth that deploying renewable energy at the scale required to fuel the U.S. economy would require covering state-sized territories with nothing but wind turbines and solar panels. It would also require stringing tens of thousands of miles of new high-voltage transmission lines." He continues by pointing out a study conducted in 2018 by 2 researchers from Harvard University who found that meeting present-day U.S. electricity consumption would require 12% of the continental U.S. land for wind. The continental United States is 2.9 million square miles. So 12% of that is about 350,000 square miles. That's 2 Californias. That's 2 Californias. So just meeting current demand would require covering with wind turbines a land area twice the size of California. We could also consider financial issues. Everyone is familiar with Warren Buffett. Even he has been quoted as saying that the only reason wind turbines make sense is because of the tax credit. They would not make sense without the tax credit. And those tax credits are not free to us citizens of Neosho County. We pay for that. As of 2014, wind energy had received $30 billion in federal subsidies and grants. $30 billion. That would be enough for Donald Trump to build 6 walls to protect our southern border. 6 walls. And this $30 billion doesn't include the subsidies that wind companies receive at the state level. Kansas being one of the states that provides a property tax exemption for industrial wind turbines. Used to be a lifetime exemption. As of 2015, that exemption has been limited to 10 years. You heard Apex say earlier that they had no current plans. I can't remember, I couldn't write as fast as she was talking. No current plans to object to that property tax exemption being lifted after the 10 years. Is that something that they're willing to guarantee as well, not just no current plans? Keep in mind also, this $30 billion in subsidies that went to wind energy as of 2014 supplied 4.4% of electricity in the United States. $30 billion, 4.4%. Yet I know we are not here tonight to discuss sustainability, desirability, feasibility of wind energy on a global or national scale. Commissioner Bedeau has pointed out in several meetings that it was not this governmental body that allowed any of those tax credits, tax exemptions, and I understand that. Tonight's focus is on the issue of industrial wind turbine projects here in Neosho County, and this is the correct governmental body to address that issue. The National Conference of State Legislators, a bipartisan organization committed to improving the quality and effectiveness of state legislatures and known for its comprehensive and unbiased research, tells us that localities can adopt setback requirements. It is incumbent on this body, therefore, to carefully consider the impact of industrial wind turbines to the health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of this county. According to Wind Exchange, which is a resource of the U.S. Department of Energy, site evaluation for wind projects should be coordinated with appropriate authorities and should consider potential effects on local resources and land uses, including but not limited to impacts to wildlife, sound, visual environment, radar, aviation, safety, and other local priorities. The Kansas Energy Council, also advised issues that should be addressed when counties regulate industrial wind turbine projects. These issues also include land use, noise management, natural and biological resources, visual impact, soil erosion, water quality, of course safety, as well as socioeconomic and infrastructure considerations. As you can see, these issues are not the delusional inventions of any of us with too much time on our hand, and they're not the inventions of someone with an agenda. These have been identified by government entities on both the state and federal level as issues of importance that should be considered when discussing industrial wind turbine projects. As a group of concerned citizens, we have constantly argued for appropriate setbacks for safety, noise management, as well as a concern for our property values. One specific concern relates to the number of homes that are in the footprint of the proposed industrial wind turbine project. This footprint is in a densely populated area. In Centerville Township alone, there are 85 homes that would be within 5,000 feet of the turbines. Contrast this with the Waverly Wind Project, with 54 homes within 5,000 feet. Beaumont, 3 homes within 5,000 feet. And Smoky Hills with 38 homes within 5,000 feet of the turbines. We have 85 homes in Centerville Township alone, and the other 3 projects combined have 95 homes in their whole projects. Multiple state and counties have established setback for wind turbines. And by setback, I mean the minimum distance between wind turbines and neighboring structures or property lines. The three of you sitting at a meeting in November, and I don't have the date, but it was mid-November 2018, previously unanimously advised Apex that the 1,000-foot setback from a property line was not acceptable to any of you. As I heard Jade talk earlier, that setback has not changed. That is still the setback that they're offering, and you three have previously said that's not enough. Apex previously mentioned the 1,000-foot setback, yet there has been offered no guidance on how this alleged standard was developed or the reasoning for the same. While there certainly are counties that have gone with the wind company recommended 1,000-foot setback, there are plenty of other counties in Kansas, the United States, as well as internationally that require a larger setback. Again, due to the concerns that we've discussed, the safety, the property value, and the noise management. In Kansas, Erie County, 2 times the height from a property line. Anderson County, 2,000 feet from a residence. Beaumont, 3/4 of a mile. Howard County, over 2,000 feet. Spearville Complex, 1,500 feet. And keep in mind, these turbines are smaller, have shorter blades, and lower sound pressure levels. Looking outside of Kansas, there's a county in Alabama requiring a setback of 2,500 feet from neighboring and adjacent property lines. There are even some states that set requirements for siting for wind turbines. Connecticut, the greater of 2.5 times the height from property line or the manufacturer's recommended setback. And we'll go back to that in a second. North Carolina, 1/2 mile from property line. Ohio, at least 1,125 feet from a property line. Wyoming, 5.5 times the height from a dwelling. Internationally, whereas it's my understanding these wind turbines even started in the first place, have increased their setback requirements. In 2012, Denmark was known to have established a setback 4 times total turbine height. Holland, 3,280 feet. Germany, 1 mile. 3 Australian provinces specified as much as 2 kilometers in 2012. And this is according to Indiana geologist Tony Fleming, who penned an article titled "The Wind Ordinance Debate." He has graduate degrees in geology, geophysics, and water resources management. As it relates to safety, setbacks are important for such things as ice throw and blade failure. We know that ice throw occurs with industrial wind turbines, and even if it is a minimal occurrence, that is still an occurrence, and one that jeopardizes life, animals, or at least causes property damage. Based on a February 2015 article in Wind Energy magazine, ice throw can occur up to 600 meters, approximately 1,968 feet. G-Cube Insurance, a leading renewable energy insurance provider, reported 3,800 incidents of blade failure on average each year for the past 5 years in their May 23, 2017 Threats to Global Onshore Wind report. Each of these occurrences cost up to $1 million to resolve. They also reported approximately 50 turbine fires with an average claims cost of $4.5 million. Again, the Wind Energy magazine article advises blade parts can be expected to travel up to 3,900 feet. We also know that there are manufacturer recommendations for a setback. And if you have attended the meetings or been a part of the Concerned Citizens Facebook group, there has been the Vestas 2007 Mechanical Operating and Maintenance Manual, which set the 1,640-foot danger zone setback, which as Jade has previously described as if there's a fire, you don't want to be in that area. So tell me why that should be on my property. General Electric, which was, at least at the time of this article, one of the, or maybe the largest United States manufacturer of the turbines, 1,300 feet setback, and that was for a 350-foot turbine. A German manufacturer required a setback of 6,562 feet from the turbine hub. In addition to safety, the setbacks are also necessary for noise management. Again, an issue of proper concern in wind siting. Much information has been provided to the County Commission regarding sound from both sides. Apex has provided studies. Apex has had people here talking the scientific language. We also have educated members of the community who have attempted to educate and provide research and information regarding noise management. The simple fact is that those of us that are blessed with the ability to hear know that these wind turbines are going to cause noise. No one is saying this noise is going to be 24/7. In fact, Phil Bloomstein, who lives 1,000 feet from Tower T3 of the Beaver Wind Project in Freedom, Maine, has said, quote, "Although the noise is almost always there, it is not constant in the intensity or type of sound. In minutes, it can turn from an almost tolerable drone to a pulsating nightmare, so oppressive that any outdoor activity is challenging." He specifically mentions the argument that it's no louder than the refrigerator. He says, "The turbines are much louder and more annoying than my refrigerator. But let's assume the turbines do sound like my refrigerator. Imagine your fridge is always running and that you have one on your deck, in your garden, by your compost, next to your garage, 3 or 4 in your backyard, several placed down your driveway, 1 at each door, 1 next to the grandkids' swing set, and don't forget the ones hanging outside your bedroom window. Even if it sounds like a refrigerator, everyone can agree that much refrigerator would be annoying. Let's not get starry-eyed or drowsy hearing about DB, MH, any of the acronyms or industrial terms, and let's use our common sense. These things are going to make noise, and there are times that the noise is going to be annoying for those who are too close to a turbine. That doesn't take rocket science. If you do need a study, in 2018, the World Health Organization released environmental noise guidelines for the European region. This, for the first time, included wind turbine noise as a new noise source and made a conditional recommendation reducing noise levels produced by wind turbines below 45 dB, as wind turbines above this noise level are associated with adverse health effects. We believe a proper setback will help to remedy the enjoyment and health issues now recognized by the World Health Association to be associated with noise pollution from industrial wind turbines. Our hope is also that responsible and reasonable setbacks will lessen property value impact. I know that Apex said earlier, and I believe the words were no significant impact. Nothing hardcore for us to look at by that, but no significant impact. Who determines what's significant? Shouldn't that be our issue? They shouldn't be allowed to determine what is and isn't a significant impact on our property value. And to the extent that they're going to research it further, it's not like this has been a new issue. And I'm troubled by the fact that research hasn't been done already. At least as long as the 2 years that she says this project has been in Neosho County. Not that those of us of concerned citizens have known about it for 2 years, but to that extent, the property value impact is a concern we've raised from the very beginning. And there are studies. The study that she mentioned, the 2010 study by a county appraiser in Illinois, who suggested property value impacts from 26 to 40%. That study was also provided to these commissioners by the county appraiser, who ran the numbers regarding what that would mean for Neosho County, which was estimated property tax dollars lost of $373,000. That's based on an estimated property value loss of over $2 million. $2 million, no significant impact.
Ain't that
I
30
disagree.
minutes?
Further, our county appraiser noted that the study relied on by Wind Energy in support of its argument for no effect on property value is based on a hedonic pricing model and says this is not typically designed to appraise properties. Instead, and again, I'm going to ask for this common sense factor, the recommendation is for a paired sales approach, which says if you have house A and house B, and the only difference between house A and B is that one is located right next to a wind turbine and one isn't, which one are you going to choose? Common sense would imply, and you can ask yourself that all day, every day, there is going to be an effect. I wouldn't buy it. And I know I'm not the only one. Further, Randall Bell, who is a member of the Appraisal Institute, has developed the Bell chart that breaks down the impact of detrimental conditions on property values based on 10 categories, one of which is external conditions, which would include a wind farm. This method uses the cost to cure the condition, what would that be, to determine the loss of value. I would also point out that the citizens of Neosho County are not the only ones concerned and requesting reasonable and responsible setbacks for any industrial wind project. Ducks Unlimited, which helps with funding to operate the Neosho Wildlife Refuge and other wetland reserve programs, has issued a statement expressing its concern regarding this particular project. Ducks Unlimited has pointed out the economic importance of the wetlands to Neosho County due to their use by hunters and other outdoor enthusiasts year-round. In 2018, there were 2,370 duck hunters who visited the Neosho Wildlife Area. These hunters came from 23 different states. 2015, that number was 3,188 hunters from 26 states. On average, since 1982, the Neosho Wildlife Area has had 3,028 hunters per year. Thus, based on its research, Ducks Unlimited anticipates an impact to waterfowl within 5 kilometers of any wetlands and the Neosho River, and has recommended a setback of 10 kilometers or over 6 miles from the Neosho Wildlife Area. They also point out other areas of concern to be the Neosho State Fishing Lake and Lake Parsons. Tonight, I've only expanded on a few of the issues of concern that I mentioned earlier. I've not addressed bird, bat, wildlife mortality, and I know that we have a concerned citizen who is very involved in the Audubon Society and has spent a considerable amount of time researching and studying that. I know that Apex has refused to participate in an independent study along with Ducks Unlimited to study the effect in this area. We've not addressed the decommissioning, the visual impact, soil erosion, and water quality. This is not because we do not believe these concerns are valid, but because I can't stand up here and say I have an answer to all of those concerns without an outright ban on industrial wind turbines in this county. While I know that might be an appealing solution to some, we do recognize that there are those in the county who are in favor of an industrial wind turbine project and who have even already signed a lease with Apex. These same people are our neighbors. We go to church with them. We work alongside them. And we are a community. Therefore, we have tried to focus on a solution that allows for consideration of industrial wind turbines, but also protects the safety, health, and welfare of the citizens and considers the wishes of those who do not wish to participate. It is the citizens of this county who will live with any decision made for years to come. Therefore, we are presenting a resolution for approval that establishes a minimum setback of 2,000 feet from a non-participant's property line and 4,000 feet from a non-participant's residence. We believe these setbacks are necessary to protect the safety and welfare of the citizens, but also to allow for consideration of a wind industrial turbine project in Neosho County to the extent that those conditions may be met. On a final note, and on a more personal level, I would like to say, I am not a lifelong Neosho County resident. I am a transplant from a big city, and I've only been in Neosho County for approximately a year and a half. Obviously, and I'm sure I know there are others that have either grown up here, moved away, and come back, or maybe others as well that transplanted from a big city to here. What I would like to say is that in just the short amount of time that I have lived in Neosho County and in southeast Kansas, and I believe there was a newspaper article that referred to the, quote, Southeast Kansas way of life. And there really is a Southeast Kansas way of life, and it is something to be proud of. What I have learned in studying, researching, and becoming involved in the local government just with regard to this issue is that there are educated, smart people in this county. And to the extent that anybody on the outside would look at this county and think that anything less, they are sadly mistaken. And to the extent that anyone would look at the Southeast Kansas way of life and think that that is not the way of life to go, I would argue with them day and night until the sun went down the next day. Southeast Kansas is a great place to live, and I think we can all agree on that. And we shouldn't let any potential economic consideration ruin that way of life and the neighborly way that we've always come together, gotten along, and gotten a job done. No outside company should ruin that for Neosho County and for Southeast Kansas. Thank you.
Attorney-client? Can we go to the jury?
Thank you.
At the commission meeting, at the commission room?
How long?
Said, how long? 30 minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, the commission go into executive session for 30 minutes for purposes of attorney-client discussions with the commission, county counsel, and assistant county counsel.
Probably have a recess down there.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll withdraw the motion at this point. We're going to recess to the commission room, and there'll be a motion to go into executive session for 30 minutes with